In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. Welcome to Green Sunday. Gosh, we're in the beginning of May. We've already celebrated our Easter, so I can say Christ is risen from the dead. Blessed is the resurrection of Christ, which is something that we do for the next 40 days as we greet each other as Christians, rather than saying, hi, how are you? It's a much more appropriate Christian for the time of year that we're in. We're also into May. And so green has a practical meaning for those of us that live here in the Northeast because things are starting to turn green. Now, if the farther south you go, the more it doesn't make any difference. But for us that live up here in New England and New York, yes, it does make a big difference, okay? Now, our reading today is from St. Peter's first epistle. And it's kind of appropriate because St. Peter was so much involved in the resurrection. Well, it's a little bit of background of St. Peter. St. Peter, of course, was Jewish. He's also known as Cephas, or in Hebrew, Kepha. Okay? And he talks about God's house and people. Now, he's preaching to people who are Jews, but he also was very much involved with the Gentile conversion, especially after encountering St. Paul and seeing a vision in Acts of the Apostles. St. Peter was leader of the early church, and he writes with authority. But he also does things that we call cross-referencing. Because he was a Jew, he's writing reference Old Testament things to prove that Christ indeed is the risen Messiah, and that what's said in the Old Testament is very appropriate for us in the New Testament. He will quote Isaiah, he will quote Psalms, he will quote Exodus, and well, let's see what he has to say here. This is St. Peter's first letter, the second chapter. It opens the second chapter. And St. Peter says, rid yourselves of all malice and deceit, insincerity, envy, and all slander. Like newborn infants, long for spiritual milk that through it you may grow into salvation. For you have tasted the Lord is good. Come to him, a living stone, rejected by human beings, but chosen and precious in the sight of God. And like living stones, let yourself be built into a spiritual house, to a holy priesthood, to offer spiritual sacrifices accepted to God through Jesus Christ. And now St. Peter is going to start referencing the Old Testament. Behold, I am laying a stone in Zion, a cornerstone, chosen and precious. And whoever believes in it shall not be put to shame. Therefore, its value is for you who have faith, but for those without faith, the stone which the builders rejected has become a cornerstone, and a stone that will make people stumble, and a rock that will make them fall. They stumble by disobeying the word, as is their destiny, but you are, and this is very important, a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people of his own, so that you may announce the praises of who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light. Once you were no people, but now you are God's people. You had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. That's wonderful. St. Peter is talking from Isaiah, he's talking from Psalms, and he's bringing it all into the New Testament for our edification. But he's also telling us that there was a time when we were not under salvation, but we are now. We're a royal priesthood. We're set aside. We're sanctified for Christ. And now we're into the nice weather, and we start to, after Easter, we tend to forget about the things of the Lord. Let's not do that, okay? The blessings that we have that were brought to fulfillment in Easter are now going to be ours throughout the summer. Enjoy the green. Enjoy the short, very, very short spring and winter that we have here in the Northeast. For those of you in the South, you're probably just laughing and says, oh, just another day in paradise. But for those of us that are up here, we really enjoy this. But let's not forget about our Lord, and that's not what St. Peter says. We are a royal priesthood. We are sanctified. We're set aside for Christ. Okay? Have a wonderful summer. We'll see you again in the fall. And that's a reflection from Deacon Steve. Christ is risen. Blessed is the resurrection of Christ. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen.